Sorry.
Get hyped, people.
I have like my computer and then like a monitor behind it, so I'm like looking over my laptop to the monitor.
Let's get hyped.
Oh, you got it, Richard. There you go. All right.
While we're waiting, we could do like a chat poll, like what are your first impressions of Penn or something, so that it's not just like us staring at four screens for a while.
Oh, yeah, for sure. If anyone wants to like introduce themselves in the chat or via voice, that'd be dope. Like where you're from, stuff like that. Oh, time is up.
All right, let's begin. We said 7:30.
Yeah, we can do it later. All right, so welcome to the STWing Information Session. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're so glad you guys could join us today and that you're taking some time out of your evening to come learn about a program at Penn. My name's Annie. I am the parliamentarian, aka the president of STWing. Co-hosting with me tonight is Anirudh. He is the academic chair of STWing, so he takes care of all the academic events for STWing. And we're gonna, there's a couple other people on the board of STWing and other students at Penn who are also in STWing who are gonna share some anecdotes as we present things. But yeah, welcome. Anirudh?
Yeah, so I know what you guys are thinking. Essentially, we all have 3 questions at this moment. And as that random troll dude in Monty Python says, answer me these questions 3, ere the other side you see. First question, what is STWing, according to your interviewer at Goldman Sachs? Number 2, what is STWing to me? As you can see, we really prioritize our stuff really well at STWing. Number 3, what is STWing?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to change it. That's
yes,
my bad.
For someone called the Science and Technology Wing, we actually suck at PowerPoint. It's a good thing to know. So first up, we'll be talking about what STWing is formally.
Yeah, so STWing is actually the oldest residential program at Penn. We started in the late 80s, and we're one of the first groups on campus to get to work with things like servers and the internet, which sounds kind of funny, but you know, back in the day, no one had it. So nowadays, we're a community of people who are interested in STEM and STEM-related things. We're based in Kings Court English College House, which if you've done some research into the different college houses at Penn, you might have heard of it before. Specifically, we're based on the 2nd floor of Kings Court. So the Science and Technology Wing is a residential program which officially is dedicated to providing undergraduate students at the University of Pennsylvania with opportunities to explore novel aspects of science and technology and its surrounding culture. So we want to, foster a sense of excitement and empowerment in the community. Regardless of what your major is, we're really open to anyone who's interested in STEM or STEM-related stuff. And you'll see a little bit more about our community in general in a bit.
Yeah, so formally, as a program, STWing presents a lot of academic opportunities for people. We organize a lot of academic events. That's actually what I'm in charge of in my position. So STWing gives you an opportunity to have frequent, for instance, dinner discussions with professors. As a part of STWing, you also have access to a lot of academic resources like resume workshops and research symposiums, colloquiums, and those kind of things. You also, as a part of STWing, we organize global events for people throughout the college, such as a robotics fair and a Rube Silverberg competition. Due to copyright issues, we could not call that a Rube Goldberg competition. But Silverberg is pretty good too. It's pretty cool. And another event we recently started, for instance, is STWing Talks. If you could just move to the next slide. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so as you can see, these are images of people in STWing, giving STWing Talks. What STWing Talks is essentially an experience where undergrads, freshmen, everyone can present any topic of their interest, which doesn't necessarily have to be, science related or super academic in nature. For instance, over there you have Makarios Chung giving a presentation on Minecraft architecture, which is pretty cool. And you have Chris Denk giving a presentation on aesthetics, I believe. Was that aesthetic? Yeah, that was aesthetics. If you look really closely, you can see some really aesthetic drawings on the board. But yeah, no, there are no drawings. Okay, so yeah, these are just some examples of academic events that we organize, along with dinner discussions with professors. You get you get really cool food. As you can see, if you can look really close, you see like plates with food there. There's food provided at all of these. So if you ever want to eat and learn at the same time, then I really believe that STWing is a place for you. And yeah, over to you.
Yeah. So one really unique thing about STWing is the resources that we provide for students to do projects. STWing provides both funding and space for students to pursue their own individual projects that they might be interested in. We have a really unique project space called the Blimp Room, which is in the first floor of King's Court. It's got tools, it's got materials, it's got plenty of space where you can both work on and store your projects. For example, pictured here, someone was building a quad rotor. We have soldering irons and solder and all that stuff, plenty of tables to store it on. And this year we recently converted it into a joint project space and event space. So the pictures from the last slide were actually taken in the same room. So we kind of have half of it set up as a presentation space or a study space, and then half of it is set up as like a formal project work area.
Hi, I'm here for 2618 Tweed Run.
Sorry, if you're not muted, if you're not talking, could you please mute yourself? Thanks. But yeah, so in the past, we've had a lot of really interesting projects. For example, a couple years ago, a bunch of students got together and actually built a working arcade machine. They both coded a game, hooked up all of the physical electronic parts, and they built like a plywood housing for the game itself. So it's a really, really cool project. The room is actually named for a project that was done in it. I think a couple decades ago, some students actually built a blimp in this room, which is why it's called the Blimp Room. And I think Keenan had a story stuff he wanted to say about the Blimp Room. So go ahead, Keenan.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Keenan. I'm the special projects chair for STWing, and I probably have a different experience than a lot of other people here in the chat because I actually didn't start my year off in STWing. I joined another program group in KCheck. But as I got to know people in STWing and meet the various people there, I really found it to be a community that I was interested in. And also, the Blimp Room was really what drew my eye first. It's this really beautiful kind of underground place in KCheck. It's got a lot of rooms and doors that lead to nowhere, which is kind of cool. And so regarding projects we've done, this semester we had Arduino workshops, we had hydroponics workshops, we had the other workshops that Anirudh showed earlier about philosophy and the Minecraft architecture. And there are always new things happening. We generally have events every weekend. I mean, when we were all in Philadelphia, we had events every weekend. And when we can return back to campus, I'm hoping that we can have, a lot of interesting projects going on. And so, yeah, it's been a really good experience joining STWing. And even though I didn't join it my freshman year, and if you decide also not to join it freshman year, there's always opportunities to join it later on in life. And I think it's a really inclusive community that pursues a lot of interests, which is what really drew me to it. Yeah.
All right, so now that we've talked a little more formally about what STWing is, let's look at,
Yep.
That is on a click, my bad.
Yeah, as you can see, the changing color, it really corresponds with how fun-loving we are, which is what is STWing to me, what is STWing to all of us. Why do we have 6 or 7 boomers in this chat who want to live on floor for 4 years on the same floor? I mean, yeah, the academic opportunities are great, I'm not going to lie, but there's something more about the community that really personally was the highlight of my experience, and I can attest was the highlight to a lot of others' experiences. So let's delve a little deeper into that, because I think that's probably, I mean, I like to say you apply to STWing for the academics, but you stay for the community. So Annie, take it away.
Yeah, sorry, my thing isn't going. Yeah, so one of the things that I personally really love about STWing and that really drew me to STWing as a freshman was our culture of upperclassmen mentorship. So as you can see, you know, I'm an upperclassman. I forgot to say I'm a junior, actually. We have a couple other people who are upperclassmen, you know, sophomores, juniors. If y'all end up coming to Penn by the time you get here, all of us will be at least sophomores or above. But there's a real culture of upperclassmen mentoring freshmen, mentoring those who are in earlier years than them. There's always someone who's, you know, willing to help you out with your homework, give you class suggestions, give you advice on, you know, choosing a major or declaring a minor, and just give life advice in general. We actually have something called senpai hours, which is where some upperclassmen and a bunch of freshmen go and hang out for a couple hours late at night and just sort of, you know, talk about their problems, and the upperclassmen give advice. It's very therapeutic and something that I really enjoyed doing my freshman year. So in general, there's just a great culture of, you know, wanting to support freshmen and help them get adjusted through their freshman year. So for example, I should say I'm a NETS major, which NETS, if you don't know, is a major that's sort of adjacent to computer science, but it's also got some systems engineering thrown in there. So I was taking the introductory programming class, Sys 120. I was having a rough time. You know, I was homeschooled K through 12, so I'd never taken a formal programming class before. But a senior on the floor, Brian Zhang, he would sit with me every night that my homeworks were due and help me finish it by the deadline. And that was, I like to say that like I passed that class because of Brian Zhang. So it's just really great to both have upperclassmen in the program, but also have them, you know, on floor with you, so that they're really part of your everyday community. And I think, Richard, you had an anecdote you wanted to share? Maybe?
Yeah. So my story with STWing goes back to NSO. I was not NSO. It goes back to Quaker days. I was friends with someone who was like, who was already in STWing when I was still in high school, and he was like, "Yo, during Quaker days, you should room with me. I live on a pretty cool floor. Lots of chill people. I feel like you'd get along." So I did that. And the very first night, I know Quaker Days formats has changed, but the very first night, I think I stayed up till like 2 or 3 a.m. just chatting with people about courses. I was a starry-eyed young baby Quaker who was all excited about being invited and possibly doing bachelor's MLS. Funny how things turned out. But between lots of academic guidance and shared interests pertaining to a lot of stuff that's adjacent to nerd culture, like comic books or video games, I was like, this floor is pretty great. So then I joined, and after a week and a half of classes, I dropped out of MLS. And then after a semester, I was like, maybe I should take a coding class. A lot of my friends here are like CS or take CS classes. So then I was like, this is actually really fun. I want out of the college and I want to join engineering. And of course, this probably isn't it's not super duper common. It's not uncommon either, but it was really lucky because there were people who had done the same thing, transferred from the college to engineering, to offer me guidance, to stay up late at night and talk to me about life. Or like at the time I had wanted to do physics and like give me physics help because I was really a scrub and didn't know how to do any of the problems without relying on the answer key. It's just really great because in addition to helping me with homework, also late at night, I got lured to stay up and discuss things such as philosophy, politics, and anime. And what happened next is I've taken a weird route to becoming a weeb. Kind of, maybe, allegedly. But the thing is, through these interactions with friends helping me with homework or giving me course advice or just general life advice, I feel like I've made like some really great friendships that'll for sure last like until like we pass away. So I think that's like something really great that's happened.
Yeah, pass away is a pretty long timeline, I'll be honest. But besides that, on the social front, we also have a lot of events that are organized to ensure that the community is brought together and to ensure that we have fun along the way. For instance, we have, and could you just the pictures, right? So, for instance, we have movie nights. We actually had a marathon that was spread over a few days of watching all 3 extended edition Lord of the Rings movies on a giant screen. We have board game nights. You can see Dominion there. We have Smash Bros, Super Smash Brawl, and Ultimate contests. We have Mario Kart contests. In fact, the person who always wins Super Smash and the person who always wins Mario Kart are both in this chat right now. Ashley and Keenan, shout out to both of you. And we also, you know, in the lounge, there's always someone playing Skyrim, which unfortunately you can't have multiple people playing at the same time, but you often have very creative ways of people you know, joining in and working together in Skyrim, even though only one person's playing. So that's a lot of fun. Other events we have include nice picture if you could, please. Yeah, so on the right you can see everyone sitting around a hot pot, which we have once every few weeks, where, I mean, it's pretty much what it is. You have a pot, you put a bunch of stuff into it, you eat, you don't pay that much money, and you have a lot of fun. You generally have music playing. It's great fun, and it's a great time for people to get together and just, you know, when you're super stressed with academics, which, trust me, I know you think you won't be. I thought so too, but it happens. And on the left, obviously, you see 4 people plotting to infiltrate the NSA, or I think they're playing a cooking game. It was one of them. Yeah. So essentially, the idea is STWingers are generally nerds at heart, even though this is not necessarily the case with everyone, because it's a very large and welcoming community that has a few quirky characters that like to be quirky in general. So essentially, you have stuff like board games, video games. We also organize a game called STWassassins, which is assassins, where, you know, you have a target, you have to eliminate your target. It's a lot of fun. I had my first STWassassins this fall, and you know, it was scary because a few days before STWassassins, the blimp room, suddenly it transforms from a project space and, you know, a study space into a Nerf gun armory, and you have like Nerf guns all over. You have like a murder room where you know, people stock up on stuff, and, you know, it's just, and it's crazy because people told me for 2 weeks you can't sleep because, you know, you walk out of a class, someone's there to assassinate you. You know, you go to eat, someone's gonna salt your food. Just ensure people don't have spoons with them because they'll touch you with the spoon and you're shanked and you're out of the game. So I was really, really scared. So I went on a murder spree because, you know, I figured I kind of based it on my favorite philosopher, Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator, which is offense is the best defense. I'm pretty sure that's not what happened. I didn't actually watch Predator, but yeah, I basically went on a killing spree, hunted down everyone across the entire campus, and, you know, yeah, and I lost the final duel. So, you know, life is unfair. But the point is, the last time it was over in 2 days, but next time I don't think it will be. So it's either 4 days of crippling anxiety or a lot of fun. Yeah, so Assassins is just an example of the kind of community we are. It's not like we like to harm each other. It's more like we like to harm ourselves and enjoy with each other in the process. That did not come out right. We like to have fun. That's a better way of putting it. So yeah, and besides that, we also have frequent Stwarioke nights, which is basically karaoke. If you haven't noticed thus far, we like adding STW in front of everything. In fact, STWing Talks was supposed to be called STWalks initially, but we didn't call it STWalks because it might give people the impression that we exercise. So we didn't want that. But yeah, in fact, speaking of STWing Talks, we are having a STWing Talk tomorrow about the DC universe, DC Comics universe, and essentially the timeline, the story techniques used, and the graphic design techniques used. It's delivered by a Stwinger tomorrow. So if some of you want a taste of what it's like, you guys are welcome to join tomorrow. We'll put up the link after this presentation.
Yeah, you can shoot either Anirudh or I an email. We'll put our emails in the chat in just a minute. And if you're interested, definitely email us and we'll send you the Zoom link.
Yeah. And now I'd like two freshmen, people who completed their freshman year, or at least 2/3 of it, Jonathan and then Ashley, to talk about their freshman experience and how the community helped them grow as people. Yeah.
Yes, so hi, my name is Jonathan. I'm in class of 2023 studying nursing, nutrition, econ. So I guess I'd like to preface my anecdote with that. Nursing isn't technically considered science or technology by the university, and many of my interests, as a whole, fall mostly outside of STEM, which admittedly puts me in a very awkward place in terms of STWing, surrounded by all these like comp sci, physics, chemistry, whatnot people. Love you guys though. And obviously this is a very double-edged sword. On one hand, I found it honestly quite difficult to find the natural bond that people of a shared or similar major or area of study form at first. But on the other hand, it sort of forced me to go beyond the generic conversation or introduction topics of, what's your name, what's your major, and where are you from? And looking back, it has provided me an excellent context to my areas of study. For example, very generically, the many ways of how technology can play a massive role in ensuring positive patient outcomes. And it's also helped me meet people that I would have never have met before had I stayed within my nursing bubble. And who, like I said above, have helped me expand my perspectives, which is half of what college is about, honestly. And I'm very, very, very proud and happy to say that in the end, I ended up meeting 70 to 80% of my closest friends within the first 2 weeks on STWing, whether that be through like formal events like hot pots or trips to Center City, Philadelphia, augmented by like informal lounge hangouts, going to NSO events together, watching movies together and karaoke, all that good stuff. And honestly, it quickly became a situation where the borders between STWing and a friend group were significantly blurred. And to some people, I suppose that could be a bad thing, but for me, I was very, very grateful for that. And I guess just to sum it up, I'd like to dispense two pieces of generalized advice that I wish I'd taken advantage of earlier. First of all, don't necessarily always surround yourself with people that share your majors or your interests. It's very interesting to visit a forum of people who have a totally different outlook on academics or your own interests, because you'll often find that they begin to mesh and reshape your own outlook, often for the better. And STWing was that forum for me. Second of all, step outside of your comfort zone early. So the first 2 weeks of NSO and post-NSO are the very few weeks where people are actually extremely open to meeting new people. And I know my freshman friends and I sort of quickly found ourselves in a situation where after these initial weeks, the enthusiasm of meeting people kind of died down as everyone cemented and settled into their friend groups. And this isn't to scare you, but just to remind you that the environment of NSO and the NSO high is very special. And it's very easy to take advantage of because there's always people everywhere looking to make new friends. And I find the easiest way of doing this is by enrolling in a program community that is diverse and one that intrigues you, whether it be out of your academic interest or out of an interest to, I guess, explore something new. So I guess I hope that was helpful. I'd like to congratulate y'all on getting into Penn, first of all, and I'm wishing you all the best as you complete this very difficult year.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ashley Smirnov, and so I'll be talking about like my time at STWing. I first joined in, like I just applied via the application, so I was automatically went to STWing, and so basically once you do an application, it doesn't really matter how long or whatever it is, you just automatically enrolled basically. And one of the interesting things about STWing that I find is that like everybody's like on the same floor, so all of your closest friends are on the same floor, which allows for like interesting shenanigans to occur with your like your next door neighbors or the person living across from you. And so that's really nice, and so you have like a nice bonding time for that. And also we have the STWing Lounge, which is like the major like hub of operations, I would say, where everybody just like piles in to relax or to study. And it's also where we have the Wii and like the Xbox. And so you can see people like simultaneously playing like games while others are studying. And I really like that the STWing Lounge is very like opening and welcome to everybody. So if you want to come in, you can come in. The door is basically always open to anybody. And you can have like anything can happen basically. So like karaoke originally occurred just like, oh, why don't we just do karaoke one day? And so it became a recurring thing after that. And I really enjoy those moments where you can basically, any idea you want, you can have that. Or like you could just have these off the cuff moments of just, okay, why not everybody just go to Wawa, which is basically a grocery store or like a convenience store more like nearby. And everybody can just go over there and have fun to relax rather than just studying, or like you just have these random breaks in the STWing Lounge where somebody rants about music or rants about like some new interesting science concept or like even economics, for example, or politics. And so STWing is not necessarily just centered about science and technology, but can be anything you want. And that's what I really like about the freshman experience, is that you can make it whatever you want it to be. You can hang out with friends, you can go into your room if you want to, or you can just come to the STWing Lounge where you can have like cookies baked by ragas, or like, which are basically residential and something or graduate like advisors, I think, or something like that. I might be butchering the name wrong, but anyways, we have these wonderful ragas, and I hope that we have a next semester also equal as wonderful ragas, but they can also be the most like supportive group of people you have on floor. And another thing about STWing is that, like Jonathan said, you have like, it kind of like mixes the line between STWing and your friend group. Like there's no clear division where STWing starts and your friend group starts, and I really like that because it's like a whole community that you can come together and just like have fun and whatnot. And so that's what I think STWing is about, just like a mishmash of whatever you want it to be, like mostly nerdy and like people who have similar vibes as you do, which I really like. And so now I pass the mic to whoever is speaking next.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ashley. That was so great. Oh, I'm sorry, Anirudh, were you gonna go?
Yeah, I was just finishing up. I think there is some really good points about science not being, I mean, though we're called Science and Technology Wing, STWing really encourages diversity of thought and diversity of major. For instance, halfway through my year, I decided that along with physics, I'd do creative writing as like half a humanities thing. And we have, like Jonathan, we have Elijah, who's there in the chat somewhere. Yeah, we have Jonathan. We have like a bunch of other people who aren't here right now, who are also very much in the humanities and not necessarily the sciences. We have a really close working relationship with PIH, which is Perspectives in Humanities, which is on the 4th floor, and Biosphere, which is on the 1st floor. So
those are also residential programs.
Those are also residential programs. And then there's also Huntsman, but yeah. So we have really close relationships with all of them because the entirety of King's Court is like a place, that entire block, King's Court, each floor has its own residential program. And that's intended for a reason, because it's meant for people from different perspectives to sort of combine their interests, you know, like you saw Minecraft architecture combining computers and you know, art and stuff. So yeah, stuff like that. So I definitely think the science part, for those of you who aren't really sure about that, should not be turned off. But yeah, moving on to Annie.
So hopefully by now you're all wondering something along the lines of, well, how do I apply to STWing? So STWing, as for any residential program, you'll submit your preference for residential program as part of your housing application. So when you go to select your preferences for housing, you'll also be asked to put first and second choice for residential program. I'm not sure if this is after you get assigned a particular college house or not. I think it's not before you get assigned that. But anyways, so there is a short answer question, but please don't be daunted. We're not looking for a particular answer. We really just want to know that you're interested. So you can either answer the generic prompt on the application, or we have a couple of prompts that we've written that are just kind of fun things that are on the STWing website. I've put the link here. Again, if any of you, you can just like Google STWing UPenn and the website will come up. But yes, you're welcome to use one of those prompts instead of the generic one if you want. Again, we really just want to know that you're interested in joining the program. Eleanor, go away. I'm in the middle of something. Leave, please. Bro. Thank you. My little...
Tell Eleanor I said hi. She's my favorite.
Eleanor.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So now we're gonna move into the Q&A portion of this. If you have questions, please raise your hand and we'll call on you one by one. As formal as that sounds, it'll just avoid people talking over each other. Also, if you're not comfortable asking a question out loud or you'd rather remain anonymous, feel free to direct message either me or Anirudh. We can ask your question anonymously, and don't worry, we promise we won't say your name along with the question or anything.
Yeah, we swear by the holy name of